Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, I'd like to do something a little different. I wanted to take a look at a pathway that's an affordable pathway, our starting point, actually, on a road to exceptional horology. Now, you may never get there because most of the watches we're going to look at are fairly expensive, but there's certain things about them that were very interesting. I got my Patek Philippe on today, and we're going to be pretty busy, so I thought I'd better give it up right away. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with the Tissot Heritage Petite Seconde. This just came out in fact, it won't be available until September. It was at the Basel World 2018. All right. So let's take a look at this watch and something about it. Now it has the Unitas or ETA 6498 movement, which was one that was developed originally for pocket watches, and so it's a pretty good size movement. All right, now let's start off by examining the vibrations per hour on oscillations. And the standard and a most common one is 4 hertz, and that's 28,800 vibrations per hour. I have a picture of one of the new GMT Master 2s. Again, this one is a 2018 version as well. And it has a 4 hertz or 28,800 VPH movement in it. Okay. Other ones, you'll see them at 3 hertz, which is 21,600 vibrations per hour, or even down to 2.5 hertz, which is 18,000 vibrations per hour. Now, you know that the higher the vibrations, the greater the accuracy. And so you may wonder, what would people use a lower number for? We talked about this to some extent, but let's just take a look at some things and try to see if we can figure out what's going on. Okay, to get started, what I want to do, I want to look at a number of really the top exceptional horology watches. And the first one we're going to look at is the FP Journe Chronometre Souverain. This watch, this one happens to be mine. The list price on it is $38,800, and it has a 3 hertz movement in it that vibrates at 21,600 vibrations per hour. Okay, now this particular watch was the one that FP Journe gifted to Roger Daniels when he had a big party for him shortly before he died. So for Journe, it's a very important watch. All right, let's take a look at another one. Now this is by Laurent Ferrier. This is called the Gallet Minute Repeater School Piece. It's another one that's at 3 hertz. Now remember, some of we said at the beginning, at the outset, that 4 hertz was the standard, and we saw the Rolex that was running at that. And so the question is that, wait a minute, now I thought, with quartz way up here, it's way out of sight as far as the number of vibrations. And you probably heard of the Seiko high beat, the Grand Seiko high beat, that has a higher vibration per hour. And so, but what we're beginning to see here, we're saying, wait a minute, what are these lower vibrations? I mean, don't they want accuracy? Well, let's take a look and try to figure this one out. Notice too how the movements fill up the exhibition window in the back. So there's a meeting of the mind, so to speak, between the case and the movement. All right. Now Roger Smith is not. You don't get better than Roger Smith. Most of these guys, you don't get better. They have a lot of them are just as good. Now here's a Series 2 by Roger Smith, and it'll sell for over $100,000, and you have to wait a lot of years to get it. But anyway, in looking at this watch, again, there you have the filled up movement with the case, and you have 2.5 hertz, or 18,000 vibrations per hour. Okay, well that's really slow. So what's going on? All right, we'll keep on going. Voutilanen and Carry Voutilanen is the same thing. Here's a Ving 8, and it's 2.5 hertz, 18,000 vibrations per hour. It's $75,000. And this is, again, you look at the watch, it has all of the same characteristics. It's got the lower rate of the movement, and it's got a case that's packed to the rafters with the movement. All right, continuing on, let's take a look at the German watches. Langenhain. This is one of my favorite watches anywhere. And there's a watch called the Frederick III, and it's, again, 2.5 hertz, 18,000 vibrations per hour. This is a bargain watch, only $27,000. A beautiful watch. And look at how the movement fills the case on this. All right, going along, here we come to, this is my Beauvais, and this is called the 1930 Fleurier, and it runs at 3 hertz, or 21,600. And here you can see, again, this is the movement fills it up. Now this is another bargain watch at 19,800, and it's a magnificent watch. But again, as you see that lower vibration rate. Okay, continuing on, here we have a Lange und Söhne, and this is a Lang 1. This is I think it's called Lang 1 Large, or something like that. Here again, we're below 4 hertz at 3 hertz, 21,600 vibrations per hour. So this is a $34,700 watch. This is a very expensive watch. All of these are, by the way. Excuse me. Okay. All right, next we have H. Moser at C. Now, I think every single one of theirs, not just a few, but all of them, are 2.5 hertz, or 18,000 vibrations per hour. This particular one, this is my H. Moser Henry double hairspring, and not only is the movement fill the case, it goes beyond what you can see around the I guess it's sort of the bezel on the tonneau shaped case. All right, so with all of these, we had been talking about this Tissot. And what I wanted to do is take a look. Here's a Baume Mercier, and this particular one sells for $36.90. It's called a Clifton. Now it has a Soprod movement, Soprod 9035, and it's a I don't want to say a knockoff, but let me see. I think I have a note here with it of ETA 2892A2. All right. Now looking at the Clifton, the case and the movement are way off. You got this little bitty movement and this great big case. Now, why is that important? Well, for the most part, the larger the size of the movement, the more you can do with it. And that's one of the realities. Not only can you make it run longer, because you can put a bigger barrel and a bigger spring in a bigger case, but it's easier to maintain too. All right, so here you have, now this movement fills only 60% of the case, whereas this one fills 85% of the case. It looks like it fills 100%, but there's enough difference in the bezel there around the rim that's a huge difference. The difference between 85% and 60%. So you get a lot more movement in the watches that we've been looking at. All right, and $3,690 is a lot of money. I unless you're crazy rich. All right, now let's go back to the Tissot and look at it. Here you have this movement that fills 87% of the case. The Heritage Petite Seconde, this has an ETA Unitas 6498-1, and it's got a movement, the same movement that H. Moser's have, and I think Roger Smith. You have, and it's running at 18,000 vibrations per hour. So I thought, well, here's a Tissot. Now, Tissot, remember, was sort of the, when Tissot and Omega got together, the Tissot was going to be more of the more affordable one, and whereas the Omega was going to be the more toward the luxury line. But here's this little Tissot. Now underneath it says anti-magnetic. It's That's one of the funny things about it. It's not. It's even though Tissot sort of was really pioneered a lot of the anti-magnetic materials in their watches. This one isn't. So it was, I don't know, but I thought that was sort of funny. Of all of the watches not to put in your anti-magnetic stuff, and Tissot has a capacity to do it. For some reason, they decided not to. They did a nice finishing job. They put in some nice clear Geneva waves. And and they have that great big sapphire exhibition window in the back so you can really see the movement. This is another characteristic. Your Exceptional Horology wants to show off their movement. Now, this is what Tissot is doing, even though they had nothing to do with making that movement. But I thought, not everybody's got the money to buy a lot of these watches. And by the way, too, Rolex does have some of the ones that are lower in the lower movement. I think lower movement speeds. I think that some of the Datejust do. And also, you take a look at the Holy Trinity. The one I have is 4400 is the name of the movement. It has the 4 hertz. But then you start looking at the really expensive, not that $34,000 is inexpensive, but I think it was called the Horns of the Cow or something, that they have a really interesting one, and it does all $75,000, and of course it has a lower movement. Same thing with Patek Philippe. The better their the higher the price, and the more activities that are involved, the lower the hertz rate. So it's sort of counterintuitive, because we know that nothing can out-vibrate a quartz. So, well, maybe there's something, but not in terms of traditional mechanical watchmaking. So here we have this really interesting paradox, and we have this nice little Tissot, but not that little. It's 40, it's either 42 or 43 millimeters. That's a nice size watch. So I'm thinking, somebody says, hey, I'd like to get going and start collecting good watches, and I don't have a lot of money. You can't afford a number of watches. But for $995, I thought this was a heck of a deal. Now, it's not going to be available until September 2018, but it's one I think worth looking into, because then you'd have a lot of the characteristics. Now, by the way, when we look at, well, how is it that these guys like Roger Smith and F.P. Journe and the crew at Exceptional Technology at H. Moser, how come they're able to have really good, accurate watches with a lower vibration speed? I don't care what anybody says, you can't have the same accuracy without a lot finer tolerations. I mean, you have to have higher tolerations and specs. Now, I know that Moser has the teeth on their wheels, on their gears, are very special, very finely tuned. Everything that Roger Smith does is by hand, and not that by hand is good. You got to have to know what you're doing by hand, and have the kind of mechanisms that can make the adjustments to have it with the lower speeds. And so what you're getting there in a lot of respects is finer tolerations. Okay, well, listen, this is one that I'm sure that not everyone's gonna. What, a Tissot? Yeah, Tissot. Why not? Because it's got a lot going for it in this particular model that some of the other ones don't. By the way, Baume Mercier, I probably said that wrong. They do have one that's time only, but it was $14,000 and it was made of gold and it had I forgot the movement. It was something in Perret movement that used to be Jacques, and he had to go to jail. It's a long, interesting story that I'm not going to bore you with now. Okay, let's hear your comments. I'd like to hear from you. And also, too, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. Hope to see you next Friday. And in the meantime, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.